It's Friday, the 22nd of March, 2024. I decided it would be of the utmost importance to summarize 11 things that will be entailed that one would derive from this study, along with other studies that exist on this theme, before we get into the actual texts from Mauro Bellino, from his literal translation of the Hebrew. And I don't have to tell you as we go through these points, they'll speak for themselves, just how mammoth the implications are if this information is true. So I'll just let these points speak for themselves, and then in the following video we will read a summary at the beginning of Mauro Bellino's book before he gets into the Hebrew scriptures, where he summarizes what some scholars believe they know about the history of the Anunnakis or Elohim's intervention into our history, the history of planet Earth. He will describe what some scholars have concluded from their study of the ancient Sumerian and Akkadian texts. And then in the fourth video in this series, the third one from this one, this is the first, the next one will be the second, and then the third one, we will get into the actual Hebrew text from Mauro Bellino's book and his translation and his explanation of their implications for the text. Okay, so here's what I have. I have 11 points. Yeah, 11. And they read as follows. And I'm going to intersperse some commentary. The first point is that the Elohim / Anunnaki are extremely long-lived from our earthly human perspective. They were immortal, but nonetheless, they were mortal. So they could die, and when we get into Psalm 82, that becomes abundantly clear that these are not angels. These are flesh and blood beings who live extremely long, who have extremely long lifespans, but nonetheless do have a shelf life. 3,600 of their years is actually equivalent to one of our Earth years. It seems that they lived hundreds of thousands of years and that they ruled for tens of thousands, and that comes from the Sumerian, what's known as the Sumerian Kings List, which shows that in some instances these so-called gods were ruling for 10, 20, 30,000 years. There's an Akkadian seal that actually depicts the sun and the moon together with 10 planets dotting our solar system. Okay, whereas our known solar system knows of only 9 planets. Now, what's interesting is that NASA has actually found indirect, and there's all kinds of articles on the internet talking about this. NASA has found all sorts of indirect evidence to indicate that there is a 10th planet that crosses into our solar system very rarely, but it does so nonetheless. And according to the Sumerian, or at least the interpretation of the Sumerian records from some scholars, this planet does not enter into our solar system or what am I trying to say? It enters into our solar system once every 3,600 years. Sorry about that, I had a brain fart there. It enters into our solar system once every 3,600 years. So according to the legends, this Planet X, as the space agencies call it, or the planet Nibiru as it's called in the popular literature, follows an orbit which causes it to enter our visible solar system every 3,600 years. Bellino's translation of the Old Testament will show that the biblical record tells substantially the same story that's recorded concerning the Anunnaki and their flying machines in the Sumerian Akkadian texts that long predate the Old Testament. And by the way, these traditions about flying machines exist all over the place. From India to South America, you name it. They're called Vimanas, of course, in the Vedic literature of India, ancient India. The next point number 4, is this. We humans were the product of their genetic engineering, of the genetic engineering of the Elohim Anunnaki. And according to the Sumerian texts, we were created with the purpose of serving as slave labor to mine for precious metals, particularly for gold. The first systems of human government were derived in large part from the Elohim Anunnaki. They also gave us advanced knowledge through their chosen human representatives, such as the legendary Enoch, concerning science, technology, and astronomy. The original castes and lineages of kings, rulers, and priests were appointed by the Elohim, or Anunnaki. Some of these aristocratic lineages or bloodlines are thought to have survived up to the present day. The world's first, and we're on point number 8 now, the world's first mystery schools and mystery religions follow an initiation system designed to preserve the memory of these beings, to preserve certain knowledge and secret information related to technology, among other things, and to preserve genealogies that contain higher concentrations of Anunnaki DNA. Texts, such as the Bible, describe concrete physical, historical, and geographical phenomena related to these flying machines or spacecraft in terms that express the people's limited capacity for understanding what they are describing. In that the compilers and translators were living in a time far removed from the original events. 10. The demigods of the ancient world were the giants who were produced from the sexual union of the Anunnaki and human women. And finally, the world's most ancient recorded religions appear to have been facilitated by the Anunnaki, who gave to their human representatives, such as Zarathustra, who founded Zoroastrianism, and Moses, certain laws, economic structures, and economic systems and priestly structures designed to better control and manage the destinies of earthly civilizations. In other words, the revealed religions were given by the quote-unquote gods. So with that, I will end this, and we will go to the third video where Mauro Bellino starts out his book summarizing this reconstructed paleo-ancient history of planet Earth.